I am a faculty member of the Center for Civic Literacy, and as you all know, you're here at our second annual research conference and meeting of our National Advisory Committee. So welcome, welcome, together with Chuck Dunlap and Bill Moreau, who are sitting at the table up front here. We are co-chairing this conference, and we are delighted to have all of you here with us. We all are going to offer a little bit of a brief welcome, Chuck and I right up front, and then Bill after we've had some time to eat and commune, and he will then kick off our program a little bit later this evening. Before I get started, there are a few housekeeping things that I just want to take care of for everyone. First, I really want to thank all of our amazing staff who have been just tremendous throughout in pulling together this conference. Matt, Rachel, Ann, our intern Sydney, none of this, I wouldn't even know what hotel we were at without them, so no, it's fantastic, and they've done a wonderful, wonderful job. So thank you. In terms of housekeeping, there are just a couple of things I want to make sure everyone's aware of. First, at the end of the agenda is the information on how to sign on to the internet. For those of you who are looking for that, the instructions are there. You can find them there. Also, I wouldn't be a lawyer worth my salt if I didn't point out the agreement and release that if you can sign this and provide it to us just before you leave at the end of the conference, this is to enable us to record sessions and record discussion so that we can use that for our own purposes. Some of that may go up on the CCL website. It enables us to do debriefing after the program and further learning. If anyone has any questions about that, feel free to contact us. I want to let you know that tomorrow morning during breakfast, we have both a research poster session, which we encourage you all to check out. It reflects the research that's been going on at the center. And we also have a video booth set up for you to spontaneously record your thoughts about the importance of civic literacy, how civic literacy deficits impact various sectors of our lives, the economy, of all the things we'll be talking about over the next couple of days, education, obviously self-governance. And so if you have any questions about how any of that works, please see Ann Weiss, and she'll be happy to, she's right over there, be happy to direct you on how to do that. What am I forgetting, housekeeping-wise? Anything? Have I? No? Okay, then we're good to go. Then the only thing else I want to say is, as you know, the Center for Civic Literacy is an interdisciplinary research center. Our mission is to study the causes and consequences of civic knowledge and skills deficits, and to raise awareness of the threat to our democratic self-governance from these deficits and explore ways to reduce or eliminate them. And the faculty at the center come at these problems from a broad range of professional and academic perspectives. And the many NAC members and participants gathered here likewise come at this from a variety of perspectives, thinking deeply about and writing about and speaking about these issues in a wide range of professions. And this diversity, I think, is especially valuable this year because building off of our start last year, we're now trying to connect the dots. That's really the theme of this conference, to gain a better understanding of the core knowledge and skills that we need, and that Americans need to govern ourselves effectively, and to achieve and really maintain a peaceful, prosperous, sustainable, and just society, and how to make sure that we all get the knowledge and skills that we need to do that. I will say I feel a growing sense of urgency about these questions. I think the problems that we're facing and the events that we're witnessing, both those close to home, like in Ferguson, and as far away as Liberia and Iraq and Syria, they're complex, they don't have easy answers, and they remind us how fragile civilization, let alone democracy, can be. I feel certain that after 2 days of rich conversations with everyone in this room and others who will be joining us throughout the conference, that I will feel optimistic when I leave about our chances of keeping our republic, to quote Ben Franklin. No pressure, but I do feel quite optimistic. So thank you again for being here. We are delighted that you all are joining us, and we very much look forward to the next 48 hours. And with that, I will turn it over to Chuck Dunlap.
Thanks again. I will be mindful that I'm the only thing between dinner and the evening beginning, so I'll try to be very brief. I'm Chuck Dunlap, Executive Director of the Indiana Bar Foundation here in Indianapolis. Also a National Advisory Committee member for the Center for Civic Literacy. And as I think most in this room, and as we said at lunch today, an FOS, friend of Sheila. So I think that covers a lot of bases here. One thing, we probably should have scheduled this meeting for a week ago. You would have really enjoyed Gen Con was in town. If you're not familiar with what Gen Con is, it's about 40 or 50,000 people, something like that, in all kinds of costumes. It's a gaming convention. And every possible gamer that you can imagine was here in town that weekend. So it was very good people watching, if nothing else. Not that this crowd isn't equally as interesting. Yeah, that's right. We can relive the spirit of that if you want to come in costume tomorrow or Sunday. One of the things I think, and Beth mentioned this too very eloquently, but this group I think is a little bit different than a lot of the typical groups that get together to talk about this issue. It's interdisciplinary, it's looking at the issue from different perspectives, and I think that's extremely important, and I think the research that the center's doing in that area is something that needs to continue and do more of, and I think this is a great start for a second year of this conference. So it's great to see so many people I know and some people I don't know, and some people I met for the first time at lunch today, which was great, and people from around the country. So the only other thing, I again want to just be a one note, I guess, but thank the staff. These things don't happen. I'm usually the staff, so I usually know. And I got the distinct pleasure of not being the staff for this one, and it's inversely proportional, your role versus your title, I think, as far as the level of work that goes into it. So, and thank you also to my co-chairs. I'm sure they did a lot more work than I did, but the staff, again, thank you, and I'm sure you'll see the fruits of all their labor as the weekend progresses. So thank you, and I think enjoy your dinner.
Sorry, one more quick thank you, and that is to Barnes & Thornburg for sponsoring the reception that we all just enjoyed. So thank you very much to the firm.
I have the privilege of introducing my friend Ted Boehm. From 1996 to 2010, as a member of the Indiana Bar, I had to call him Justice Boehm because he was a member of the Indiana Supreme Court. We in Indiana are delighted to have Ted back from the bench and once again thoroughly engaged in the well-being of our body politic. In fact, I am wearing one of my favorite reminders of Ted's passion for public service, my Ted Boehm for U.S. Senate button, a collector's item. He momentarily lost his mind and was almost drafted to run for the United States Senate against Dick Lugar. So cooler heads prevailed. Ted is a product of Indianapolis's public schools who went east, first to Brown, graduating Summa and Phi Beta Kappa, and then to Harvard Law School, graduating Magna and serving as an editor of the Harvard Law Review. He then clerked for Chief Justice Earl Warren before returning home to begin his distinguished career in the law. He first joined the firm of Baker & Daniels, became a partner in 1970 and managing partner in 1980, and then in 1988, Ted began a stint as in-house general counsel, first at GE Appliances, then GE Aircraft, and then he went to Eli Lilly and Company before returning to Baker & Daniels in 1995. In 1996, Governor Evan Bayh had the wisdom to appoint Ted to succeed the redoubtable Roger O. DeBruler on the Indiana Supreme Court. During his 14 years on our highest court, Ted authored 477 majority opinions and 78 separate concurring or dissenting opinions. Since 2010, when he left the bench, Ted has had an active alternative dispute resolution practice. Ted's civic activities are too numerous to list, but some of the highlights are chairing the organizing committee for the 1987 Pan American Games in Indianapolis, which some commentators say literally put Indianapolis on the map globally. He was the first president and CEO of Indiana Sports Corporation, which staged the 1982 Olympic Festival and is widely regarded as a national leader among community sports development organizations. He's a trustee emeritus of his alma mater, Brown, director of Metropolitan Indianapolis Public Broadcasting and Indianapolis Convention and Visitors Association, and a member of the Nominating and Governance Committee of the United States Olympic Committee. He was co-chair of the organizing committee for the World Basketball Championships held in 2002 in Indianapolis, and currently serves as chair of the Cultural Development Commission established by the Indianapolis Capital Improvement Board. Justice Boehm is married to Peggy Boehm, who certainly had her own remarkable career in public service, and he has 4 daughters and 6 grandchildren. Now, with an introduction like that, you'd think Ted would be our keynote speaker, right? Well, wrong, okay? I'm introducing the guy who will introduce the keynote speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Ted Boehm.
Well, my remarks will be briefer than the introduction. Thank you, Bill, for those generous remarks. And that was an unauthorized pin that was created by the legendary Larry Conrad, for those of you who know Indiana politics. Conrad generated Ted Boehm for Senate and Lee Hamilton for President pins in the 1988 Indiana Democratic Editorial Association convention at French Lick, which was done in a day at a time and era when lots went on in political conventions. It doesn't go on today, and nothing further needs to be said. My pleasure to introduce Ted McConnell, our speaker today. Ted is the executive director of the Campaign for the Civic Mission of Schools. CMS is a coalition of over 60 national organizations committed to improving the quality of civic learning in our nation's schools. His past career includes serving as director of the Campaign to Promote Civic Education, a 50-state initiative of the Center for Civic Education. Pardon me, bifocals are a terrible thing when you get I really need a monitor. The Center for Civic Education, which is attempting to strengthen civic education at the state and district levels. He's been co-coordinator of the Congressional Conference on Civic Education. He currently serves on the boards of directors or advisory boards for Citizenship Counts, the McNeil-Lehrer production of the News, Rock the Vote, the Special Olympics, the Annenberg Presidential Learning Center at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, which I understand you're chairman of that entity. Project Vote Smart, and the Student Press Law Center. So as you can see, he's been all over the subject of civic education for many years. He also has extensive experience in government and politics, having served as Congressional Affairs Assistant to the United States Secretary of Commerce, an assistant to the Chairman and Director of Marketing and Events for the Bicentennial Commission, Transition Assistant in the 1980 Presidential Transition, and a Deputy Director of the Citizens Division of the RNC, which he's now, like me, a nonpartisan. And he's been on the present, but in his former incarnations, he served on the staffs of Presidents Ford, Reagan, and Bush 41. And he's also been engaged in over 30 political campaigns over this extensive career. So please join me in welcoming Ted McConnell, our speaker.